I got started in this mad, crazy industry. I went straight to drama school at the age of 18 from school. It was on a bet. A friend bet me a fiver I wouldn't apply to this particular drama school. It was Rose Bruford. And because they were doing the community theatre arts course, which I don't think they do anymore, but and I read it and I thought, oh, this sounds quite interesting. It's not just a straightforward acting thing, because I didn't really, apart from messing about at school, doing the odd school play and stuff, but so that's how I got in. So you spent 3 years training, but you did a lot of devising and improvisational work as well, so that was great. It wasn't all text-based, so it kind of made it, I suppose, it made it easier to think about it in a different way. And then also, I think after the first year, where I remember one of my tutors saying to me, you have your assessment at the end of your first year, and they said to me, Paulette, you seem to be here in body but not in spirit. And I said, well, actually, I'm a bit bored. I don't know if I'm supposed to be here. But I knew that I was supposed to be in that world. I just didn't know what my role was going to be. But I knew I felt comfortable within that kind of environment of being creative. So I suppose it was inevitable that I would go and look elsewhere to see what else I could do under that umbrella of, being in the arts or in theatre. So they used to do the Young Writers' Festival at the Royal Court, and one particular year I'd written a play, and it was submitted for the competition. Anyway, your prize was a professional production of an extract of your play, and my play was being done upstairs, the theatre upstairs, and at the time, so I was watching the director and thinking, at first I was walking around going, I'm a writer now. My play's on at the Royal Court. Well, an extract. And then I just got into watching what he was doing, and before I knew it, I said to him one day, do you know what? I want to do what you do. And he said, well, you have to talk to Max. Max Stafford Clark was the artistic director at the time. And the director of my play, my extract, was Danny Boyle, who was running the theatre upstairs then. So, so he said, just, speak to Max. So I did, a lot, and for quite a while, because at first he said, no, you trained as an actress and now you're writing and now you say you want to direct, you've got to choose. And I said, well, if I want to do all of them, what about that, Max? And he was like, no, you have to choose. Anyway, I just told him this. I got on his nerves, actually, until I broke him. And then he said, okay, you can come as my assistant. So that's what happened there. So I ended up training at the court for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years, No, listen, even when I was at drama school, I knew there were people there that were so much better than me, and also had a real yearning for it and an understanding of it, because I do think actors are quite unique. I think they're extraordinary human beings. I'm not one of them. I don't understand how they do what they do, but I'm glad they do, because that means that I can do what I do and what I love. Well, I think it was, when we were at drama school, we were aware that at that time it felt like if you were going to pursue acting as an option in life, that most of the roles that were out there for young black women were just kind of a nurse or a unmarried mother, or do you know what I mean? Just something that just didn't appeal to us. And we had done so many different and varied things at drama school that allowed you to think, bigger and wider and deeper and all of that. So we decided that instead of just going into the industry and just doing whatever, that we'd set up our own company and write and perform our own stuff. So that's what we did. Hence Theatre of Black Women. Yeah. Do you know what, was it difficult? In the early days, you start off, and we had no idea about how to set up a company or anything like that, but we knew that we needed to get some money in, or we needed to pay ourselves. So we did workshops for young women up and down, all over London, and then we kind of rehearsed at night and did. So you just do whatever. If the desire is there to do it, you're going to find a way. And then, as things progress, as the company continued to grow, I left, but Patricia, for example, became brilliant at administration because that's what was needed. And also it was like she's had a feeling and a yearning for that as well. So, you know, and Bernie kept writing. So, and performing. So, you know, we just kind of, we grew and morphed and, because you're in the arts, I think that there's always going to be barriers. You know, you just don't know quite where it's going to come from. But it was interesting at that time because politically, I think we were in almost a sort of, it was quite a unique situation. There were so many companies in London, black and Asian, women, gay sweatshop, you know, there were so many alternatives that it felt like, when I think about it now, it was quite a golden period, really. So, yes, there was adversity, but that was part of the reason for doing it, you know, because you felt that it wasn't equal. And so you wanted to make sure that your voice was heard and that you were making some kind of impact and making a change and hopefully, you know, affecting people in a major and positive way. Right, okay, so you know I said to you years ago when I trained at the Royal Court, Danny Boyle was my director. So I ended up, when I started training at the Royal Court, I ended up assisting Max. I was primarily his assistant, but I also assisted Danny on a show that we did upstairs called Panic. But anyway, cut to 30 years later, he phones me and says, I don't suppose you know what I'm doing? And I said, yeah, everybody knows what you're doing. What do you want? Anyway, it turns out it was that. And he wanted an associate. He wanted someone to work with him in order to make it all kind of come together. So, yeah, that was it. The funny thing is, none of us had ever done it before. So we didn't really know, in a almost kind of naive way, didn't really know. We knew we were going to put on a show. And all of us have got, you know, Danny, myself, Mark Sutterat, the designers, Stephen Daldry, who was, you know, we all come from a theatre background. So that was the one thing that we had in common, and we understood and we know how to tell a story. So it was just about telling the story on a bigger scale. And there are people that, you know, all those kind of synchronised movements, you know, with people making shapes. And well, they're a crack team that go around the world doing that because that's what they do. So you get all of those people that have those skills that can come in and help you tell the story that you want to tell. So with our writer, Frank Cottrell Boyce, you know, and the team that Danny put together, it was basically a team of storytellers. I'll tell you what it was. The major thing, in a way, was the volunteers. Because without them, of course, you can't do anything like that. But they were so committed, so they just became, you know, our actors. And that's what the joy of it was. The absolute joy was seeing these people, you know, growing from the person that came in that was really shy, to being able to stand on a platform like that and perform. Extraordinary. Well, obviously there's a technical aspect to cameras, screen. So I'm still enjoying my journey of learning what they can do and why, but there's a bit of me that's really not interested. What I'm really interested in is what the actors do. So I still primarily am looking for that element that's going to tell the story and that's going to engage us and move us in some way. So as long as whatever the camera's doing is going to enhance, help, support, do all of that, then I'm happy. So I'm learning more about, you know, size and all of those technical things. At first I was like, oh no, I'm not interested. I can barely turn the telly on. Don't look at me answering my phone. I'm a Luddite. But now I'm beginning to understand it more. I get a little bit more excited each time I do some TV work. So, because I went into it without any training. So that was the other thing, that I got the opportunity to do drama, directing drama for telly, without having been to film school or anything like that. The difference for me was, because there are lots of people that said to me, well, how come you did it? And I went, for a start, I've been directing for as long as, I don't know, for so long. But also, I'd had experience in television, but from another side. So I'd worked as a script editor and then went on to become a producer. So I understood how you make television, but from that angle. So it was just kind of, and I knew how the floor works, you know, stuff like that. So that wasn't alien to me. But what was literally just kind of going behind the camera and saying, cut, and things like that, which was just fantastic and exciting, and it's great. It's great. I love what I do. It depends on what I'm doing. Then I'm so excited. So, you know, if it's a play, I'm so excited. If it's something, I'm so excited. So, no, it's because ultimately I'm doing the same thing. I'm telling a story and I'm working with these amazing people who help us to tell the story. Well, it's hard to answer that, the highlight, because having never done anything like the opening ceremony, and I will never do something like that again, so that was such a one-off and so unique, so I don't know if it was the highlight. I think sometimes, I mean, I used to say to people, you know, if they say to me, what's your favourite show? It'd be like, well, the one that I've just done, or the one that I'm about to do, that I don't even know what that is yet. I don't know. Well, that was, listen, you know, directing Tim Roth in Tin Star was just a laugh, and we had a great time. We met at school, Tim and I, so, you know, and I was like, so when I got the job, we hadn't been in touch for years, but anyway, when I got the job, he sent me a text saying, oh, I hear you're going to be my boss, and, you know, apparently I can be difficult. So I just sent him a text back saying, I'm not a stroll in the park either, so brace yourself. So we just had a laugh. And it was a bit like being back in the common room, sixth form common room. It was very funny. It was lovely. It was really lovely, and he was fantastic. Yeah. So highlights, it's things like that, you know, just kind of gorgeous and fun. And a lot of people don't know that we were still individually, Tim and I, in touch with our old drama teacher, a woman called Jill Walker. And so Tim said to me, they used to call me Paul at school, he went, Paul, should we get Jill to come and see what we're doing? I went, too right, yeah. And so she came, can you imagine? So for her, there's me behind the camera, Jill standing beside me, Tim's acting over there. I mean, it was just a surreal and just brilliant thing to happen. So moments like that, you know, because it's all about, you know, well, it's about life, and it's about, God, there's still all that love there between those, that eclectic group of people. Yeah, I think, in all honesty, it depends on where you are in your, not even just your experience, it just depends on where you are in terms of how the industry sees you. So there are certain directors, and it doesn't matter who's casting it, if they don't want those actors, that actor's not going to be in it. When you're lower down the hierarchy, the pecking order, sometimes you don't get any say in who the actor is, because it will ultimately be decided by the producers. So it really does depend on who you are, where you're at in your career, and what your producers are like. I mean, most of them will say, of course, that they want to be open and generous and, you know, take into consideration your thoughts and your feelings. But ultimately, you know, so you have to try all the time kind of saying to them, you know, I have to be in the room or I have to be on the floor with that person. That's the difference. And also, we are now in an age which I find slightly annoying, where it's all about, you know, getting a name instead of just getting an actor. So that's really, it's quite hard to fight that, because, you know, it's either that they say we won't get green lit, you know, it won't, no one will come and see it. It's not true. It's not true. You know, we did Dr. Faustus at the Globe, I don't know, 4 or 5, can't remember how many years ago now. Anyway, and didn't have, you know, kind of names in it, but we had such a cracking cast. We sold out. We completely sold out the run. It was just wonderful, because you go, this is a great team of actors. They're not, you know, kind of the big names that everyone's going, oh God, well, I'll go and see them. It was just like, oh, that'd be, oh, they've got them. Oh, who's that? Oh, I don't think I know. Oh, I didn't know they did that. You know what I mean? It was far more interesting and intriguing, and it worked. So again, it just depends. Oh, I think think if you know that this is not something that you kind of want to do, it's something that you need to do, then that will make all the difference, because it's a mindset. It's about, because there's going to be so many things that will be obstacles, if you like, or hurdles or whatever, and just life that just kind of makes it not, you have to really work for it, you have to really, really want it, because it's so difficult to kind of, why do I think that you're going to be great and not that other person? What is it that's the difference? And sometimes it's just a connection that happens in the room, or it's that, I don't know, you've all got this unique thing. Otherwise I'd work in animation, or I don't know, some other kind of, I love the fact that you're all unique. So whatever it is that makes you, hold on to that, develop it, nurture it, love it, because that is what is going to make the difference every time you walk into a room. I know, I hate the self-taping thing. I understood it, with COVID and lockdown and all that. Once we started going back to work, of course, you kind of go, anything that's going to make it possible for us to work. But it's so difficult. It's so difficult. I think we probably have to try and hold on to that old-fashioned thing of saying to people, please come and see me. If I'm doing something in a pub theatre, please come and see me, because that will make all the difference. The times that I've met people who, and I've got time to spend with them, and in front of the camera, and they've been prepared and all of that, and they still get nervous, and they could still come across as kind of like, oh, I don't know if I'd want to work with. Now, my job is to make sure that everybody wants to work with you. And so I've got to see you at your best and at your most comfortable and your most confident. And sometimes when you're at home, or you've got a friend helping you out, you're so nervous because you don't think, the lighting's not right, I don't know, did I remember the lines right, did I, and then there's also nobody giving you feedback. So it's really difficult. But again, my feedback is my personal take on what you're doing. Some other director will go, oh no, why would she say that? I would do, whatever. So, but it's nice to have that feedback, because also as an actor, a lot of what you do is instinctive. So sometimes a director will give you a note and you go, well, oh, wow, I wasn't really feeling that, but okay, let me try that. Or you go, no, really, it's not that. But maybe, okay, let me try it and see. It worked this time. That one, no, it didn't work. But, it's about playing, and it's about finding that truth and that thing that makes it spark. I couldn't believe it. I said to him, are you sure you want me back? I've loved it. Again, because I think you know why. Because, I'm meeting all these amazing graduates, and I think, what an exciting moment in your life. You're making that transition from having spent 3 years, 4 years, training, and now you get the opportunity to go, right, this is what, I'm coming. World, you better be ready for me. So I'm thrilled to be part of that journey. It's very, very exciting. They're all completely unique and different and wonderful. And for me, it's really exciting, because it's about the future. And that's crucial that, listen, I'm kind of not playing a part, but I'm kind of experiencing a bit of what the future could look like and involving those people. So it's just the best. I don't think I'd change one thing. I think I'd change quite a few things. I think I'd change the access to the arts. I'd have to make that far more open and freer, because I think, yes, of course, I've worked with people who've trained. I've worked with people that haven't trained. It's not about the training necessarily. Because you can learn so much. Of course, when you go to drama school, you get all these skills, and it's amazing, and you get this wealth of knowledge about the world that you're going to be working in and the plays that you can do and all of that, and it's wonderful. But if you can't act, you can't act. So no one can teach you that. So not really. They can enhance what you've got, and they can make it fabulous, and make it, develop it, and help you nurture it and grow it, but they can't fundamentally teach you how to act. But I still think that there's got to be ways that we can make the industry more user-friendly. I think that it's still kind of class-bound in a lot of ways. I remember when people said to me years ago, you know, Paulette, you'll never be taken seriously as a director until you've done a Shakespeare. Well, why not? Why wouldn't someone take me seriously? Oh, because that's some sort of benchmark. I think we have to kind of get rid of those things and just say, listen, if ultimately we're storytellers, then let's get better at doing that. And let's, you know, develop our skills and all of that. But don't tell me that I can't be because I haven't done one particular genre of the art. So I think it's about that. It's freeing this up more. And, you know, the whole thing with size and what's considered beautiful and what is, you know, I'm so tired of that. You know, I won't name any names, but, you know, I've had producers who, when I've suggested a female actor for a part, and they say, oh, she's not really beautiful. And you go, I can't even begin to respond to that. It's so, for me, it's so disgusting. You know, so there's so many things that I'd want to change. Dream production. I don't know, I think there's a couple of shows that I've done in the past that I think, oh, I should do that again because I think I'd do it even better. I'd like to think. One was a play called Picon, which was a Caribbean version of Medea, which was very, very funny and very rude and then very dark. And I'd love to do that again. People, no, I don't know. I mean, you know, you sometimes go, well, who would I like to work with? I don't know. I don't think I've met them yet. And I don't think, I'd work with anybody. That's the thing. I would love to work with anyone who wants to join me to tell the story in a particular way. You know, when you have those meetings, you know, with actors and you start talking about what do you get from the play and what do you think, and when you hear from someone and you think, oh, their thoughts are quite, oh, actually, I wasn't thinking about that. Oh, that's good. I get excited and I think I want to be in a room with you and I want to share your ideas and your passion for telling the story. So, I don't know. I'm not so much, well, I don't think I could honestly say to you, you know, a name, because that's not what turns me on. It's not what, better phrase, Paulette, but do you know what I mean? It's not what kind of gets me going necessarily. I want to work with people who are brilliant at what they do and are passionate about what they do. So you could have been doing it for 150 years or you've just started. That's what excites me. You know what, there was one of the first shows that I assisted on, how's this for a cast, right? It had Tracy Ullman, Ron Cook, Alan Rickman and Leslie Udwin. And I remember Alan Rickman, I was like, well, they were all fabulous, but every time I saw him after that, he would always stop me and say, Paulette, how's it going? What's happening with you? How beautiful a human being was he? Throughout my life, I could have seen him anywhere. It didn't matter who he was talking to, whether he would come and say to me, Paulette, or he would call me over. Now, not only was he a fantastic actor, but a fantastic human being. Those are the people that I want to work with.